You were too on it. But that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's a normal process where everyone says, okay, and it's kind of that trust is a choice thing.
Yeah.
And that we're going to respect this person and give them a chance. And then after 30 days, okay, and this is what we were talking about, they don't keep their word. See, they just come in and talk a bunch of shit about what they're going to do. And they're going to do all of this. And then the first thing they do is they change the comp plan. And that's different than what they told you.
You do not mess with employees' pay. That
Yeah,
is like,
so the
there
very
shouldn't
first
be like
time
a
they get
number
paid,
one
they
rule. You don't do that.
No.
You don't do that.
No. And so we have a rule that when in doubt, err on the side of the salesperson. So we always do that, right? And that's when they say leadership. They're like, you're looking out for us. Mm-hmm. That's what they see. You're doing things to remove barriers for me. You kept your word. You said, I'm gonna get this out of the way for you. I know you're starting up, and I'm gonna give you this program and that program, and you're gonna need a lot of help. And so, I mean, we experienced this in our own life with our own salespeople.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And if you do what we say, I'm going to give you this reward. And then at the end, I am the owner, or I am the, I'm the head of sales or whatever. And I say, you know what? I think you should only get this much money because, we
had to help you a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, we had to train you. I got costs, man.
I had more people helping you. They have to get more,
Right.
We just got to split the money
and
more.
That's when you lose them. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the good part for the people that work there, not you, the owner or the sales leader. They're going to use you like there's no tomorrow. See, they're not on your team anymore. Nobody is. No one in the entire company is on your team because
like that respect that you said. That's
So
gone.
here's what
That's
happened.
gone.
So I worked on accounts. I can only use my own personal experience. I hear stories. I know stories. Mm-hmm. So I'm working for New Horizons Computer Learning Centers, and we're going to go after the top 1,000 companies in the nation: Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell. But we only have a list, and we don't know who to call in. There's about 7 of us across the nation, and we start this process. 1 year later, I'm the only one still trying. Everyone else just went back to their old job. And when I say it that way, it's because we're going to get 3% commission on top of our salary if we close these Fortune 1000. So they're huge accounts, but we're only getting 1% if we do the old normal kind of under the 1,000 that we were working on always doing for
Which is so crazy because isn't it? It's like you're getting 3% of a bigger chunk versus 1% of a smaller chunk.
So there's a great incentive. So
great
everyone
motivation.
stopped because it was very difficult to get through to the decision makers. And I don't need to get into how I pulled it off, but I pulled it off. And I ended up on a $27,000 goal. I generated $785,000 in upfront cash payments from these guys in 1 month.
God, that's crazy.
So again, a long story about how I got there, but anyway, I pulled it off.
It's time for another day.
Yeah.
Right. It's a big deal what I pulled off, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone else wasn't even making their $27,000 goal. Like no one was making their goal. So this really helped the company and everything else. So I went to leave early on a Friday and I got stink eye. And then
Stink eye? Pink eye?
stink eye from my boss, like this, when they look at you like, why are you leaving early?
I was like, pink eye?
It was November, I'll never forget it. And I was surf season, right? I'm heading to the beach.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get back out to go surf again. And I just want to do my job, make you the money, and go do my fun stuff. I don't want to be in the office all day so that you feel good about yourself, that your employees are working. When they're not working, they're waiting to leave,
Yeah.
So I would be like, okay, how am I going to get, I went to him, I said, hey, how's the accounting department going to know how to pay me? Because, they don't know which account is a Fortune 1000 account. They just see the name of an account and how much money, and they've always been paying me 1% on that. How are they going to know? And he turns away from me. This is back when we had secretaries at the entrance of your door, of your office. And he turns away from me, and he walks into his office and looks back and says, just figured you'll get paid on the old plan. Well, I signed a new one. There is no old one. There was the one we used to use.
Yeah.
But there's no old plan and new plan. Like, that plan doesn't exist. I signed a new one. And then he says, oh, well, why don't you just, you better read your contract. Maybe you didn't. Now, this is my boss that I've pulled out of getting fired because I did my numbers and I covered everyone. And he said that to me. And he told everyone. He was so proud of me so many times that the other employees were sick of hearing about me. They told me that too.
Yeah.
They're like, all he does is talk about you positively in the meetings.
And all of a sudden?
And now he says, yes, you're going to make more than me. And I said, well, then go back into sales. I said, this is what
Yeah.
happens when you become a manager. You don't make money anymore. Your whole life is consumed. You lose all your freedom. You lose all your rights. You're the one who wanted to be a manager. I don't want to be a manager. I'm doing what I like to do. He shut the door in my face. That began the process. Ultimately, I was fired. I was fired because I went after him. And power always wins. Well, he got fired later.
I have to know, did you get the 3% you were supposed to
Nope.
on those?
Nope, never got paid. 3% on $785,000. I didn't get paid. Okay, so long version of Miss Poor Me Pity Party. Guess what?
So messed
Everyone else quit too.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because they're not going to go do that and then find out at the end that you're not going to pay. Do you know what you do? You pay them and you tell, okay, let's just say it is too much money. Let's say you put together a comp plan and you realize when you go to pay, there's no money left for me.
Yeah, I messed up.
Then you pay them and then you change it.
You say from going forward, I cannot, that is not sustainable for this company.
We always
you talk
pay,
about,
we always err on the side of the salesperson. We are the power. We are the company.
Can I give you a scenario? So could you imagine, so that I have been in non-sales jobs my whole life. I have been in, like, I make this much per hour, or this is my salary, done deal. Maybe I'll get a bonus or something at the end of the year, but pretty much that's how I've always lived. But could you imagine that I was trying to get hired. I was
when you were a teacher in Memphis.
Yeah, let's say, so I'm trying to get hired, I'm interviewing, and they tell me at the end that this is, your salary, because in Memphis, let's say, is going to be $55,000, right? So that's a really good salary there. And then I go to sign on my contracts, and they said, just kidding, it's actually going to be 50.
Okay.
This is why, whatever. I still agree, and I sign my contract. And
You're trapped. You have to.
yeah.
It's your job.
And then all of a sudden, partway through, I'm supposed to get my first paycheck, and they said, just kidding, we have to take $200 off the top because we forgot to tell you we added in this new thing. We have to take it out, tax reasons.
You
whatever
use more
the reason
paper
is.
than we thought you would.
Yeah. I mean, you're printing everything. You're laminating like a crazy person.
You're working more than we thought.
You're here all the time using our energy bills. We got to take $200 off the top. Okay. Would I stay there?
I don't know. Would you?
I mean, should I?
I know
stay?
people that would.
Should I stay at that? And because I love the people I work with, all that stuff, but I am now making, let's say, $8,000 less per year, which in percentage-wise, $8,000 of $55,000, that's a huge percentage, right, of what the income I originally agreed to when originally being hired and shook hands before signing that contract versus what I'm actually getting paid in the end. I might just stay because I like my environment. I'm already there. It's a lot of work getting another job, re-interviewing and doing all that. It's a huge process. It's stressful. You don't want to be without a paycheck. So I'm just going to stay. But why? And then when I go into like the sales world now, where it really, really is like a percentage per deal and all that stuff, I can't imagine you telling me I'm going to get, let's say I'm getting 50% of every lead that you give me, but then just kidding, I'm only getting 40% in the end. I can't imagine staying working for you.
On a second tier, I'll give you an example of the right thing to do. You did a lot of great things in the last few months, the last quarter, and we had goals for if we hit certain units. You were one off. We were as a company, one unit off for you to get to the next tier in your bonus, but we paid you anyway. And we paid you up. Okay, we paid up a tier because there were some things that happened. It was out of your control, and the way that one deal, and there was
something that had to fall through.
A sleazy real estate broker on the other end that is getting filed against. So we couldn't do anything about that, and you couldn't. And that was so we said that's called erring on the side of the salesperson. Yeah. The reason why people stay in their job, we've had this in other podcasts, has nothing to do with money, assuming the money's met. Okay, so I'm going to take a $100,000 a year job, and I find out, and I love the people I'm working with, and I love my boss, and he did that. He gave me a little extra here, and he gave me a gift card
Keeps
one
his
time.
Word
he doesn't even
easy.
He doesn't even do that much, except what he says. He's polite. He says please and thank you, and he's his word. Yeah. So that's that. I don't ever have to think. But then he'll do like, hey, here's some Lakers tickets, or here's the, just a little something here and there.
I told you, my Santa Barbara boss, Andy was a great boss because he did his doctorate on retaining employees, and especially, obviously in education specifically, because he's a doctor in education, but on how to retain employees. And he even told me that. And he's like, salary is not the number one.
No.
Teachers, this is what he dealt with, will choose a school where they make $10,000 less a year if it's the right environment where they are treated well, the boss actually hears them out, they work well with the other employees, there's activities, there's the bonding times and stuff.
Yep.
He used to take us for drinks sometimes. He held not only like a little baby shower for me at the school during social distancing, but he also did like this dinner and drinks thing for me and everything, like for my birthday, and I was an assistant at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm almost one of the lowest of the low, but he treated everyone importantly.
And this is like,
he kept his
your sister's not
word
going to
for
see
things.
this until afterwards.
Yeah.
But this will come out of the podcast, and I share this so people understand the real numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's been doing real estate for 5 years. Okay, went and got her
She won't
EMBA.
see this for a few weeks,
And she didn't, work that hard in the beginning, and she was a kid, and she was 25, and blah blah blah.
Moved from Europe.
I moved from Europe, and has got the Wanderer tattoo. I mean, she's living up the name, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And she's living great and she's making a good living, but she has no idea what it could be. So her first year, she made a little over 100. Second year, she made 150 grand. So last month, she made 75,000.
In the month.
In a month. In a month. Okay. So, and the month before that, she made 40 something thousand. The month before that, she made 40 something thousand. So this isn't like a blip. Like,
So
she's just
basically
getting
she's buying
better
dinner.
and better and better and better and better. She's also pregnant and giving birth in 4 weeks, right? From this date, hopefully, or
Yeah.
sometimes between. So,
Hopefully not
what
later.
is it that she stays for? Because we get in arguments and everything else too.
Yeah.
It's because we have the open dialogue, but it goes back to what you said. Relationship with the team members is number one, and number two is relationship with your supervisor. So what happens? Abandonment, betrayal, rejection. That's what happens. That's what happens when your boss looks at you and says, just figure you'll get paid on the old one.
Yeah.
He just abandons you.
And
Or she
betrayed the word.
Betrayed you and rejected you when you tried to appeal to their sensibilities that I have a family and I have a commitment and now what do I do? And you got it all over me. Do you know that when I went to San Francisco State, that a PhD doctorate for marketing was the advisor of the San Francisco Ad Club, which I became the creative director for, okay? And he made us all believe he could help us, okay? And he started submitting receipts that were photocopied, and, we're all like, you can't take photocopies. My parents were teaching, my dad was teaching the collegiate level, and he taught police science, and what we found out was that they get reimbursed when they do stuff for the kids by the school. So we're like, well, he's double dipping and all this stuff, and he's asking for some other favors from all of us. He likes cute boys and all this stuff. He lost his job. He was a tenured professor because I went to the provost, and the provost protects the students. And I said, do you know what he's doing? He's withholding our grades. I said to my mom, who was a teacher, what am I going to do? This man, this is totally related to the business environment. Watch this. He says, I will give you an A. I haven't even taken the final if you do this. Well, now I won't do it. So now he's withholding my grades. My friend can't get into the master's program because he can't submit his grades. And I said, this guy's got all the power. He's a department chair. He's head advisor for the ad club. He's a tenured professor. How do you mess with that?
Someone who holds way too much
Ultimate power.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, I didn't know what to do. I was trapped. I was stressing out hard. Asked my wife.
How old
was
were
my
you
girl.
at the time? Like 20?
20 years old. I mean, I was crying at home and acting out and doing all kinds of weird stuff because I wasn't telling people all the little secret weird stuff that he was at. Okay. Turns out there was another guy, and he ended up going to the ER and having a nervous breakdown, and they gave him a bunch of sleepy pills, and he sung like a bird, and all of a sudden my phone rang. It was his mom, and my wife was my girlfriend at the time. We're living in a studio apartment in San Francisco, and they're like, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. It all unfolds. Everything comes out, what this guy's trying to do. And boom, they protected us immediately. How do you do that when the president of your company has that mindset? The senior vice president, the vice president, and your director. And they all agree that you should do that. Here's another one. It's a numbers game. So your whole company thinks everything's on effort. Remember when we talked about a blind squirrel finding a nut? That's really a bad thing to watch because it's just frustrating. Okay. So all of this thinking combines into a horribly run organization, which comes up and they start doing well. And then the money, I'm telling you, I've started 16 companies and I'm going to tell you guys, everyone is like brotherly love until the money comes in. And as soon as the money comes in, everyone shows their colors. My color is I do what I say. I suck it up, and she knows I've eaten it when I didn't want to because I keep my word that I'm going to take care of the salesperson.
Well, what happened to that? What happened to the importance of keeping your word? I mean, I feel like our country, maybe it's in the entire world, but it just becomes insignificant in everything. Like I honestly feel this way sometimes about my friends even, and this is just like a normal thing. If I say I'm going to be somewhere at that time, that's where I'm going to be. Why is it so hard?
Your Aunt Lisa, we used to trick her in San Francisco because she only knew how to get places. She rode the bus forever. So when she drove, she followed the bus route. It was hilarious.
Oh my God.
So it took her forever to get anywhere. We're like, you just cut that street. You didn't have to go all the way down there. So
that's all she knew.
If we're leaving at 11, she'd be there at noon. Honestly. And it was literally like this 1 hour. So we started saying we're leaving at 10 and boy, she'd be there at 11. And it really, so we had to like outsmart, the people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, to be your word, which is all we talked about raising our kids and all I talk about in sales. Betty Uribe, it used to be Betty Tucker, but yet Betty Uribe, who is a director at Chase Bank, and she was a director at Wells Fargo, and I worked for her once, and she helped Paige get into Pepperdine University.
Oh, that was her.
Yeah, and she's a who's who in the Hispanic community in LA. She's just a player, right? She's this Cuban woman that's phenomenal, and she's always, I make fun of how many books she reads and on sales and everything, because I'm like, Betty, which one's going to work, right? Like we have this game going on, but I really respect her, and the thing I want everyone to know, that's where I got this language. Okay, I was 38 years old when I was working for her. That was 20 years ago. Okay, it feels like yesterday, by the way. And she said, always, be your word, stay please and thank you. And when she first did, I would dry heave in my mouth. I would be like, oh, are you kidding me? I mean, they would talk about things like, let us love you till you can love yourself. And I'm like, where am I? What is happening? It was actual people who cared, like in their heart, about you being successful. And it just gave me goosebumps because it changed me and it made me the manager I wanted to be, which is I did care. See, I wasn't looking at you as a tool anymore. You were forever. I mean, forever up till that point. I'd be like, how much money can I make off this person? You need to get out. And it was always about that. And I learned to just be careful what I promise.
Yeah.
But just do what I say.
But it's like, don't run your mouth. If you can't ensure what you're promising, don't say it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And then when you don't.
But it's almost like it's like jumping the gun, and it just seems like without thought, people in higher power and stuff, they just say things, but they can't hold to it. So it's like they just need to learn to step back and think about things before it comes out. Because when you hold power, when you hold authority, your word matters. It's almost like that whole Trump crap because he just ran his mouth all the time. He never actually followed through on anything, or he just said made up stuff. But someone believed him. Someone in that power cannot say that because people believe it just because of the title.
Once we believe you,
and it's like
everything's possible.
Yeah.
So when you then tell us that this is no longer possible, we don't believe anything's possible. Yeah. See, when you keep your word, anything's possible. He did it. And I would like to use an example that you and your sister used with us years ago. They told us a story of in New York and how I don't even remember what you're going to do, but your friend said, oh, your parents won't, you said, my parents, boy, they're going to do such and such if I do this. And your friends were like, nah, they won't. And you both stopped and looked at them and said, no, my parents always do what they say. That's why we only had, 1 week or 2 week top. Like this worst thing you could do, I think if you had burned the school down, you would have still only had a 2 week restriction, because we try to make it swift and relevant.
Or how
right?
about when I smoked weed?
Yeah,
That
and
one
then get in
time.
trouble and all
Yeah.
of those things. Right, okay. Paige snuck out, all this.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, all the
Yeah.
things. So it's swift and relevant, all right? And that's the thing when you're managing as a leader that has followers, people that are doing what you want. A leader that has a title is not a leader. That's a manager who's collecting data to give to the bosses above them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a leader, people follow you and do what you ask because they trust you, which is their choice.
Trust is a
Because
choice.
why? Because when you say it, you do it.
Yeah.
Positive and negative. If I say, if you do that, I'm taking your phone away. I mean, what did I do to your phone when you kept playing with it at the table she could text without looking on the flip phone. I don't know how.
Remember
Under the
those
table.
days where you could just
Yeah.
feel the buttons?
Okay.
Okay.
So what did I do?
All right. First of all, every teenager did this, so I'm going to defend myself here. But he did say, if I catch you again, I'm going to break your phone. And he did. He broke it in half, and it was a really cool phone, so I could still use it in half, though.
She found a
It was
way to make
pretty
her
cool.
run wire work. But what I also did is the next time we were doing remodeling and I had a nail gun out.
Yeah,
and I nailed it to the wall. Right? And then she's like, well, now you're going to have to buy me another one. I'm like, yeah, when I want. See, I gave you a phone so that I could get a hold of you. But as a teenager, every time I look at you, you're on your phone. But when I call you, never answer. We got a problem. It's my phone.
It's because if I wasn't with my friends, I was on my phone.
Yeah, just as a note to parents that are listening, the way we did it is we made them check their phones in when they came
Yeah.
home. So their
Yeah.
phone is for us to get a
I
hold
would
of
do the
them
same.
out in society. When you come home, give me my phone back. It's not your phone. Set it there. Now go live your life inside
Well, to be
the house.
fair,
It's changed a lot.
I
but,
walk to and from, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but, new parent here. I did walk to and from school by myself for
Yeah.
the most part, so it was important to have a phone. But I feel like if you're dropping your kid off and picking them up in a car, why the heck do they need a phone? Like, let's be honest.
I walked in first grade through the orange groves and
Yeah.
past Horsies and stuff in Orange County. You
Yeah.
know? So, I mean, and plenty of guys stopped and opened their door and asked if you want a candy. And we just were taught, don't get in. So, this stuff's all
So
been going on forever,
crazy.
all this crazy stuff.
Seriously.
So as a leader,
Anyway.
this is the key. Okay, so the
God.
key is, make sure that when you make a commitment that you're able to keep it with your people. But the biggest thing is that sometimes things come up. And that's where the challenge is. Okay, we sit down before. We sit down as soon as we can. If we can't and it comes time to pay, then we eat it, we pay it, we're going to change it in the future, okay? We don't just say, sorry. Because when we do that, we lose the confidence of all of our team.
Yeah.
Because that person
That is going to
talks.
tell. Yep, I was about to say that. It doesn't even matter that you only do it to one person. That one person will tell everyone around them,
Right. And
tell
that's
everyone
scary.
the situation, and then everyone else loses respect for that leader or whatever too. And it's sad because it's everything else could be right. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could love all of your coworkers and it's a great place. Maybe it's close to home and everything else can be perfect. But if you have lost the respect of your boss and they have messed with your money, especially like the income that you use to pay for your family and your child and your husband and wife and everyone and your living, then it's done. I feel like as a person who doesn't even care as much about the money as I do about loving life. But as soon as you mess with my ability to love my life
Through your money. Yeah.
through the money, I mean, then it's like, what the hell?
And the number one
mean,
reason that people
seriously.
leave their employment is either loss of a relationship with their teammates, a bad relationship with their teammates, or a bad relationship with their boss. Those are the two top reasons.
But that actually brings me to something else when they're all connected. If the employer, manager, leader, boss, whatever, basically causes problems between the employees, or I should say among, because it's usually more than two people, among the office or whatever it is, because of something they did, now they're either competing against each other or it just something was said, then what?
Well, that
Then
is
it's
the
like-
dilemma of what's called the selling manager. That is what's called a selling manager. So there's a couple of things. Number one, if you want to become a manager, you have to lie on your resume
That you already
and
have
say
experience.
you just add these words: selling. I managed I was like the assistant manager, or
Yeah.
I sold, but I also, you always see this transition, and someone's going to buy it because they're going to be desperate enough, and they're going to hire you, and you're going to get a chance.
Is that because you need experience, basically?
Yeah,
But
it's just a catch-22. In order to be a good leader, you need good experience, and so we want to hire experienced leaders. Okay, well, we're running out because we got to have a pipeline. We got to develop them, and so what happens in that case is a phenomenal. This happens in small, mid-sized companies regularly. Manufacturing firms, a lot of times, where there's a guy and two sales guys, and basically they all kind of sell. And Joey was the top guy, and now they've got more business, and they hired a guy. I'm like, hey, why don't you look over him, and then why don't you look over? I'll keep paying you your commission, and then I'll give you a little bit of what they do. And next thing you know, you can only imagine the lead comes in, and it's really good. This guy is a sales guy and he's going to take it, or he's going to work a deal, and everything's about him getting money and him, because he's a salesperson. He's not a leader. He is nothing but a salesperson looking for closing the deal and that. And so everything he does, everything he touches, everything she touches, I'm a boy, so I say he all the time, but they have their little points where they're like, I can make money there. I can make money there. I'm like, okay, That's what a business owner is supposed to do, and structure your business and your leadership for that. But when you put a salesperson with other salespeople, what's going to happen? And if you don't get how this works, just call me. I'll explain it in extreme detail. I can help anybody with their business because
phone number
I'm not
posted
in your
at the
business.
bottom. Huh? Said phone number posted at the bottom.
But because I'm not in your business, okay? The engineering firm that I didn't know how to read plans on that I fixed, the healthcare firm, the financial firm, all these things, is because the structure remains the same. The organization of human beings and what they need to do. I say it all the time. I should have got a degree in psychology with emphasis in organizational behavior, because, my advertising degree, no one respects anymore because of social media. But the real deal is
because if you have Instagram, you have a social media degree. An advertising degree, I should say.
How many people know what the 6502 microprocessor is? That was the original processor on the Apple IIc. So, like people just, it works. It's an app. Today, we have to take a step back, and we have to realize that margins have gotten tighter in every industry, and that there's not as much money to pay for all the fluff that we used to have. When I took the job at Showtime, they gave me $1,000 cash and an American Express card. Okay, and
that doesn't happen anymore.
We went on houseboats. We went to Pebble Beach. We golfed. We did everything. We had lunch. Everything. It was crazy. Okay,
it was a different
time. They don't have it. We had every layer that you could. Literally, you had a district manager. You had a regional manager. You had a director, you had a vice president, a senior vice president, executive vice president, president, and CEO. That's a lot of people to get paid. When you do a deal.
Before the little man.
Here's the salesperson. They make a sale, and all those people have to be paid. Okay? A piece of that. Okay, in credit card processing, that model has reduced to president, sales. In most cases.
It's crazy.
That guy's running the company. He's running the sales force. He's running everything. Maybe you'll have someone in between them.
Yeah.
But there's just not that much money. So it's very important.
Well, even Ani Robin, because she's in the medical, healthcare sales side of things. So I know is she still a district manager technically?
She's higher area manager.
Yeah. So, but I do remember that even in her field, it was like, there's the sales rep and then the district manager. And then I think it was pretty much just like tippity top after that. I don't think it's in the last few years from when I talked to her. It's not that much.
And that's where the problems are coming from. And that's where you see it, because what happens is the hardcore reality that as you increase people, you decrease the average number of sales, which means your cost is going up. And so you start trying to keep the manager and the leaders and the stock and everything at the same level. And so who gets squeezed? Well, you need a computer, and so those are $1,000. So we're going to take $5,000 off your comp plan this year. But you're the ones that wanted the new laptop, and you didn't realize that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this the program, and then at the end of the year, right when you finally figured out how to sell and make money and think we're going to change it. That's the number one mistake all sales leaders make in managing the team. Do you know number one?
Have you done that too? Like you've been
I don't
there?
do that.
Oh, I mean, I just mean
Number
you've
one
ever
mistake.
done it and learned from it.
I've had it done to me. When you first become a leader, you avoid everything that you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's how you know what to do. Avoid all the stuff. You don't know what to do. You just know what not to do. Honestly. And then later you learn and steal some ideas here and there. Pretty soon one day you wake up and you're like, I know exactly what to do. That's where I'm at now. But for a long time I just knew what to avoid. And I was like, this doesn't work. See, every time you do that, I lose my momentum. I have to recalc. My wife's freaked out. Everything is like, because what did you do? Did you grow my comp plan? Oh, only if I jump through a hoop for you. Other than that, if I do what I did last year, I'm going to make way less money. So you have to keep growing because of a thing called stock or you or your boss.
Weren't you saying that companies have to show a certain, like is it every quarter or every year or
in
something?
the public market, yeah. That's the problem everyone says is the problem with corporations that are publicly traded. We never stop trying to grow. So infinitely, forever, you're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, seriously?
Otherwise.
Hey, do you want that? Do you want to get better and better and better your whole life? Well, yeah, but does that mean that you want to do, so this month you did 4 sales, so by say in 20 years you're going to do 400 sales in a month? Is that what you really want to do for yourself?
I mean,
is
that also
no.
sounds impossible.
No. So people try to start companies, they try to duplicate themselves, and they do the math wrong, and they don't realize that you, my salesman, you, my saleswoman, is the source of everything for me. And I cannot motivate you. I can only demotivate you. You're only going to do, why do I do my job? Why are you doing your job? Because you want something out of it. You get the satisfaction. Yeah. I'm driven by a little bit of money. I'm driven by the praise. I'm driven a bit about the relationship. All of these things add up. Some people are more one thing or the other. But as an organization, you say what it is and you leave it. And when there's a major shift, then you might have to. I had a 50% payment plan on leads. When I did the numbers, Paige actually did the numbers. It should have been 37.5%, so I pay 40, instead. So I pay a little bit more on leads that, I'm paying for the leads, I'm doing everything, and I'm giving it to them. And you know what? It works out okay. That difference, that 10%, made the difference between me getting a paycheck and not getting a paycheck in my company for an entire year. That difference made that. So yes, there had to be an adjustment, but I didn't pay it, realize there's nothing left for me, and then just change it.
Yeah, I mean.
That I didn't do. I went through the year, I told everyone, as soon as I discovered it, hey, this is the deal, I'm gonna have to change this next year. They're like, oh, okay.
Well, could you imagine?
They were fine with it.
Let's put some clarity into this. You wouldn't do that even with your own daughter, who you know better than anyone. You could have sat down and explained it to her. I have to change it right then and there, but you still knew it was better to give a heads up. This is going to happen instead of changing it right immediately.
Deals last month paid for everything.
Yeah.
Everything. The whole company. Her deals. She did some leads from Zillow, but she did a ton of self-sourcing. And the thing that people forget is that, I'm making 20% on a self-source. Okay, guess what? I didn't have to pay any money to get that. Yeah. I hired you, I trained you, and that's what I expected is for you to go out and do your thing.
That's why you say
and now I make a little money on it.
It's an investment because I mean, I know you're investing in me right now so that I can get my license and I can start to make you money. Because right now, all you're doing is giving me money for my time and stuff. Later, for my time, you're actually going to be making money.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and I know that's hard. We've talked about this is the thing for us being a small family business is adding in people that you don't.
We're a large family business with small number of employees because we're efficient. You know? But we do more deals than most people.
You explained it so well, and it completely makes sense to me now. I can't speak for Paige, but I can see why we don't just hire a bunch of people because you have to put time and money into them, and you don't know for sure that they're going to end up making you money. Like it's a lot of money to throw into, to the maybe. Whereas with me and Paige, based on not just because we're your children, but who we are as people and our success in the past and everything, that we will end up making you money. And Paige is making you money. So that money you've put in and that time training her and all of that has been worth it. But it's like, how do you, if let's say you didn't have children, you know, and you were just hiring people and stuff like you used to do in this business, it seems like 99% of the real estate agents we work with are idiots and they don't know what they're doing. They don't make any deals. I swear it's like they don't even know how to answer their goddamn phone. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it probably wouldn't work out if you didn't just have kids and a wife to make it. Because I swear, they're just terrible.
We have resorted, I mean, I have cousins that have law firms, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that it just, you know, I was full of piss and vinegar, as they used to call it when I was younger, and I knew everything. And you all who are under 25,
imagine?
You're going to find out you're going to get dumber. Once you hit 25, you just start getting dumb. And one day you'll be as dumb as me. All of you are going to be as dumb as I am one day. Well, and what that is you realize you really don't know. You really don't know. You don't understand. And what you do is you settle back on kind of what is working, and you just get a little safer. You know, I don't have another market crash in me. I'm 58 now. I mean, I've been through five.
We talked about this last time.
I don't want to do that again. So I'm real careful. Oh. So I operate differently than you, right? That's, you know, coming in, James, at, you know, 20 something years
27.
old. And you're 28?
We're both 27.
27. Okay. So a total different operational. I can take more risks, and I don't even think, I never thought I was even going to die until 50.
Like the burnout. Huh? It's like the burnout. Yeah, everyone gets a little burnt out.
Well, I've been burned out in the industry before. And by the way, when you burn out, don't let yourself burn out, because that's what rockets do. They don't get to restart that engine. And that's what I found out. I was done with merchant processing, and I kept trying, and I could care less. I just hated it. I just didn't like what was going on anymore. With a sales organization, the way I look at it, and the way that we try to operate, and that we give coaching advice across the nation to different brokerages and stuff that are even people who are, quote, our competition. We've had dinner with them, and I've sat down, I've just told them everything, you know, and I think there's been two, you know, Shoshana Hogue, you know, I could tell she took a lot of our advice. She's doing well. You know, a couple other people in the marketplace we've been friends with, and, you know, again, they're competitors, you know, from that standpoint. But we're going to tell you what, I'll give you anything. You have to go do it. And what it is this basic concept about a licensed organization that we can kind of, you know, wrap this thing up today about what's the deal? How many licenses do you need in a company when you're licensed? You only need one. My cousin was a lawyer. He hired paralegals and did extremely well. So my model is always, why would I give, let's say it's a Zillow lead and I'm going to give you 40%. Why would you want to all of a sudden now take 10% and let this new person have it when you're just sitting at home? Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anyone in my life. I mean, we've done a lot of deals and had, some days, Paige put in 15 in a week, a couple weeks ago. Jill did 3 in a day. These are like $800 million, 3, 8, 7, and $1 million in a day, okay? Yeah. So this is going. The market's changed, okay? Paige put in an offer on Wednesday or whatever this week, Tuesday, for $800,000 on a house in Marietta with no other offers and got it.
Pull home.
Unbelievable.
If that doesn't tell you the market's softening, I don't know what will.
Unbelievable.
Because seriously, in comparison, just like a couple months ago, a house exactly like that would have 40 offers.
Oh, for sure.
So we see the
slack, okay? The supply chain. You go buy any door you want, any window you want, everything. Yeah. There's still some problems with aluminum, but wood is fine. Okay. And there's some, profit taking with people right now, but you'll see there, hot tubs were hard to get. They're going to be on sale everywhere in about 5 months. I bet you anything. I'm waiting to buy one.
We finally have a repairman coming tomorrow to fix our stuff.
All of a sudden, it's called slack. The supply chain is so tight. So as far as a business owner, okay, I'm watching real estate. I'm doing real estate. I'm highly critical of the people that I work with outside of my company. I'm highly critical of the ones even in my company. I'm constantly coaching on.
Let me tell you.
On speaking with conviction and all of these things. And then I'm looking at, the mortgage industry and how they're operating. And I see the same thing every time. People become successful as salespeople, and then they don't want to do what made them successful anymore. What makes you successful? You answer the phone and you get every deal. Paige was answering the phone. she was getting every deal. Mom, she wasn't that good at it at first, but then she got really good at it. But if you send her in front of somebody, everyone chooses to work with Jill Hardy. Everyone,
You know what? It's so funny. I specifically give Jill the leads of the people who are like, I'm kind of working with an agent. We're looking with someone else for someone else.
Right.
I specifically give them to her because she's genuine, super knowledgeable, has been in the business for forever. So if it's anything about like knowing the area or whatever, but she's just a sweet, nice person.
Right. She never has commission breath. She never has commission breath.
No.
I heard a guy, I was in a meeting this morning at 7 a.m. and this guy says, yeah, I'm just going to go. He sells Ford trucks and stuff. And they go there and, when I listen to people, I'm just listening for a way to get money out of you. And the topic was listening. Was deep listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I said, well, I have to be a smart ass and I'm going to just say this. That's called commission breath. That's not called listening. That's commission breath. Okay. So we, again,
which we've talked about,
which we can get into, but
we've talked about it.
But the sales operation as a leader of a company is to make sure everyone is full. Mm-hmm. Full. Like a meal. Full. So are you full financially?
No.
Okay. Is Paige full, you think?
Yeah.
You think Mom's full?
No.
Okay. Am I full?
I don't think Paige is even full.
Am I full?
Will she ever be full?
I don't know. But am I full? No, I'm not full, right? Okay, because I need to get you up to speed. Okay, so when your salespeople are full, it's like giving something to do to a busy person. It gets done. When salespeople are full, they're calmer. When salespeople are full, they do the right thing for you every time. They don't panic. They don't get desperate. When you got one, if you work with our sales, I'm just going to tell, I hate to ruin it for everyone, but if you can look it up or talk to somebody and find out that your real estate agent or mortgage broker or anyone in these types has only done a deal or two, some of them, in the last 3 to 5 years, you just need to get someone different. I'm sorry to say that to the people that are struggling, but it's too much to know. Okay, so they're going to be so desperate.
That kind of tells you it's part-time too, which means they're not fully in.
So desperate and so dependent on that deal closing that they will say and do things that they normally wouldn't if they were full.
Right.
Right? Okay, so I've watched it. So salespeople, I've got 3 deals I'm working on, 1 fall out. I'm bummed. I got 5 I'm working on, 1 falls out. I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I'm like, whatever. Okay, that's the thing. So when you're the leader and you sell and you compete against them, they never can get full. It's not possible because you're skimming the cream and it's going to happen forever. So if you're a sales organization and you have a selling manager, my advice is don't. And if you're thinking of hiring new salespeople and your salespeople are working hard and doing well and you have enough leads to give to another one, don't give it to them. Let your salespeople say, dude, I can't take any more deals. We need to get some more people in here. Why don't you try that model? Because when you try that model, that's when you're leading. You're leading because what did you want to do? Did you want to work all day or do you want to make some money and be able to go do something?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I take that deal away from you and give it to James because he's brand new, because I think I just need a bunch of salespeople, I don't need a bunch of salespeople. I need assistants and transaction coordinators so that when you're meeting and doing the job of convincing me to list my home with you, or to buy a home through you, and he calls because he's a current client, someone can answer his question just as like your process is at point B. It doesn't matter whether you say it, he says it, or I say it. The person just needs to know it.
Well, you
don't need a license to say that.
Yeah, because in any given scenario, it doesn't matter what company you're trying to call. If you're trying to reach customer service, even like the most basic thing, if you're trying to reach someone to answer your question, and if no one answers the phone and goes to voicemail, versus someone answers the phone and says, "I'm gonna find out and I'll call you back," even if they don't know the answer.
Right.
You feel better. Instead, you've at least reached a human, because if I answer our main business line, I don't always know the answer. It's not, if it's Paige's listing, sometimes I don't know. If it's Mom's, I don't know. Same with when Paige answers on Mom's. But we can always say, we'll call you back with the answer, or Jill will call you back with the answer, whatever it is. And at least a human is getting spoken to by a human. It's, you know what I mean? It's just more effective.
And that's the last piece of advice today on the Selling Yourself short podcast, is that if you tell somebody you're going to find something out and you don't find it out, what you do is you call at the end of the day and you say, I didn't hear anything back from anyone. Do you know why you do that? Because they, the person you're working with, is only thinking about this one thing. You said you're going to call them back with an answer. They don't know that you didn't find anything out, and you're being this person. This is the worst salesperson to work with.
Forgotten.
Let me tell you how that goes. Well, I didn't hear anything. When I have to call you the next day, I'm like, hey, did you hear anything? No, I haven't heard anything yet. That is the worst salesperson. The worst. You know why? Because they're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. Because the people who think about you do what Hardy Realtors and Two Guys Mortgage does. They call you and they say, I haven't heard anything yet, but I put another call in. This is what's going on, and I'm going to call you tomorrow morning, whether or not. And then you can say, you won't hear from me until I hear from them, but you have to touch them once. Yeah. Because everyone waits for this. So to be a leader, you have to have followers. And to be an excellent salesperson, you have to remove barriers for your clients. And to be a manager, you just have to collect a bunch of data and put it in a spreadsheet and send it to your boss. So that's our show for today. Thanks again for tuning in.